live on
handout, a
Twitch.
flyer,
Is
anything along those kind of lines, you can use these skills for
They
that.
won't
So
know.
even if you're not a graphic designer, not a pro,
I
these
could just
programs
take it
are
off
really
and
very
nobody will
helpful
ever see.
along those lines.
Actually, no. It says I'm streaming Persona 3.
So that's essentially, those are essentially the three programs we're going to be going through. Once you've completed the course, you'll know how to use these programs, these three programs. And my focus essentially is going to be on how they're used in graphics
Can
today.
I get a poggers in the chat?
By graphic designers, video editors.
That's my
I
phone
don't do
saying
game
that we're
design
live,
myself,
David. Go
but
on Twitch.
the principles of using Maya in particular are definitely going to spill over to your game design classes. If you want to, say, for example, add a textured skin to an object, you would be creating that skin in Photoshop. So the programs tend to work together in certain ways.
Just added everyone
If
saying
you were
this
to,
man's lost
say,
that he's
create a
streaming his
logo
college
that
class
was going to
on
go on, you know, a soldier's chest in a video game, then that logo would be designed in all likelihood in Illustrator. So there's definitely a spillover for different and bleed through, shall we say, for all of these different programs. They work together. I don't use Maya in my position. I do web design, I do video, and I do graphic design at work, but we're not doing any 3D stuff. They actually just advertised for somebody to hire somebody specifically to do some 3D work at the Hartford. So that's kind of an interesting aside. It would be interesting to see what ends up happening along those lines. The methodology, I've explained it a little bit, but it'll be a combination of online lecture, practice with the programs, which is absolutely critical, specific assignments, LinkedIn Learning lesson videos, and in-class lab work. We can call this in-class. Half of class time will be allocated for assignments. However, outside of class, computer time will be necessary for practice and to complete your projects. So even though we've got that studio time after class, that hour, 20 minutes or so, you may not have enough time during that hour, 20 minutes, twice a week to be able to finish everything. You may have to put in a little bit of additional time. A critical aspect of this is how much of a perfectionist you are. So if you are the kind of person who really likes to, you know, make sure it's exactly right, so to speak, you may end up spending a lot more time on something than other folks would. This isn't a bad thing. You're just going to end up spending a little bit more time and actually learn more about the program. So it's not that bad.
Just say you're playing Black Desert.
You'll be expected to install and use all three programs on your personal Mac or PC, or make use of someone else's computer that has the programs installed, or use the Macs at MCC in B207 or B218 during lab hours. So if you don't have the ability for one reason or another to install the programs on your computer, maybe it's too slow, or these are Creative Cloud's too expensive, or whatever, you can go in and use the computers during lab hours. I believe there's still 3 Macs in B206, which is the PC lab. So there's an opportunity to use Macs there if you can't use them at home for one reason or another. So we'll be posting lab hours soon on Blackboard. I don't have them yet. Okay, any questions so far?
Poggers in the chat, guys. Should probably check to see if he hasn't unmuted my microphone.
So this is the one thorny thing which you weren't aware of going into the class. I want to make sure everybody's aware of it.
Is he able to unmute you?
So
probably
2 of these programs, Photoshop and Illustrator, are part of the Adobe Creative Cloud suite. So you need that on your personal computer in order to do the work. you can sign up for an educational license, and I've given you the link right there. And the cost to you is $19.99 per month for 1 year, which is a total of $239.88.
15, 16, 17.
I would be very happy if they were able to do a month to month, but Adobe is being pains about it, and they are insisting that you sign up for a full year. Those of you who are in the graphic design field or doing game design, I don't think this is a bad thing for you. You should have Adobe on your machine. Those of you who are signing up for the class for an elective, this is probably an unexpected cost, and I do apologize, but there's really nothing we can do about it at this point. So those are really your options. Is you can use it on your computer, you can get it, pay for it essentially, use it on somebody else's computer, or use the Macs at MCC. Okay, so I apologize for that bad news. Maya, on the other hand, there's an educational version available for free, and you just have to click on that link and sign up for it using your student email address, and you'll be able to get a free copy.
Hey, Liz.
It does, I think it's when it opens or when it saves. I can't remember which, but it does say this is an educational version of Maya, which for our purposes is fine. It doesn't put a watermark on your image or anything. It just says it as you're going through it. And there's no limit on the license for that in terms of time. So you've got it for good, which is really nice.
I should probably put that
in. You can't use it for a professional purpose. Like I couldn't create something and use it for the Hartford, for example.
HTTP.
Okay, talked about LinkedIn Learning, and I gave you some instructions on how to get in there. Evaluation and grading. Okay, so as I was mentioning before, everybody's got a different level of experience in graphics and drawing and all this other stuff. I'm not really looking at that so much. What I'm really looking at is whether or not you're completing the assignment as it's
far away, Liz.
Spelled out on the rubric.
Get closer to your microphone.
And we'll take a look at the Photoshop, two of the Photoshop rubrics in a minute.
You sound really
but it's an intro class.
Why do I sound far away?
It's projects are suitable for beginners.
Oh yeah, that's my Echo. Yeah.
If you are more experienced, you'll be able to do something that's more advanced. The big thing is, if you give me more than I request on the rubric, you're likely to get a better grade.
You're gonna fail, maybe.
So I just want to underscore that. One of the things that, I mean, there are definitely people in the class that are very interested in getting a good grade for the class. So try to give me more than I'm asking for. So if I ask you for an Illustrator drawing of an animal, give me 2 different ones. So, and that will definitely help with your grade. So give me more than I asked for, and it definitely helps a lot. So 5 hand-in projects will be assigned for Photoshop, 5 for Illustrator, and 1 for Maya. And then what you'll do is a PowerPoint that basically puts all the images into one big thing. We'll take a look at that on the very last day. You'll be given 1 grade for each application, so you won't have individual grades for every single one of the projects. You'll have a grade for Photoshop, you'll have a grade for Illustrator, and you'll have a grade for Maya, and then a final grade. So Photoshop projects and quizzes is 40% of your grade. Illustrator projects and quizzes 40%. Maya and the final project is 10%, and class participation is 10%, which is essentially you know, coming to the Zoom class and asking some questions during the studio if you can, or even on email. So this is the letter grade breakdown. I will tell you, I am a reasonably easy grader. The thing that I don't like is when people don't turn in the work. So please make sure you're doing the work and you know, do a decent job on it. Make a good effort at trying to learn the program and to do everything that's on the rubric, and you get a pretty good grade, and you should get through pretty well. There is definitely a problem with people, I would say in general at MCC, in all the classes that I've taught since 2002, of students not doing the work. It's been a problem.
It's so like
there's a tendency of students not doing the work, or not showing up for class, or not doing all the work. Maybe they just do half or something along those lines. So make sure you're doing all the projects. Make sure that you are attending the lectures and paying attention to the instruction so that you can do the work, and we will get along just fine, and you'll get a good grade. So, all right. Oh, and one thing I just want to stress is that if you don't hand in a project, it's a 0. So that will be averaged into the overall grade breakdown. Okay? Any questions at this point? That's my cat.
Oh god, I just turned off Twitch dark mode. Ugh.
I'm trying to figure out where the chat is here. See the chat, but in any case, all right. Attendance policy. So I'm going to take attendance during the lecture. I'll take a look at everybody that's here on Zoom. I won't call it out, but I'll just take a look and see who's here and who's not. I just want to make sure that everybody is attending the class, and it's essential to your learning. So if it turns out for one reason or another you can't come to class, again, send me an email and just let me know that you're going to watch the video when it comes out, and I would appreciate that. We're going to record all the classes, as I mentioned, and they will be posted on YouTube. It's not a good idea to time shift the class. I know this is one of the things that's very much in our modern world, where people will time shift things, and you'll say, oh, well, I really can't do it at 6:30. I'll do it tomorrow at 2 or something. And the reason why it's not a good idea is because you won't watch it at 2 the next day, and then you'll end up with 6 lectures that you have to watch, and they're an hour and a half each. So it's going to be difficult to catch up. So try to make sure that you're here. I would really like you guys to show up and make sure that you're getting the information and you're able to do the work because of that. So just be aware of that. Audit is when you decide that you need the instruction, but you don't need the credits. And this has happened quite a bit on and off through the years. Typically, students who are, for one reason or another, done with all their credits, and they just are interested in getting the instruction. You could sign up for an audit. You don't have to have my permission to do that, but please let me know if you are, and we may want to do a special learning program for you.
Should pick up this.
We'll see. Withdrawal it's become very complicated. This is the full thing in terms of all the instructions for withdrawal. But what it really boils down to is if you decide to withdraw, you can do that within the first, let's see.
Game capture.
Submit appropriate withdrawal form to the registrar's office by 11/4/20. And if it's after that, then you have to get my signature.
19 is a prime
okay.
number.
So I don't.
Yes,
it's not a situation where you get to the end of the semester and you suddenly realize you can't finish everything, and you said, "Oh well, I'm just going to withdraw." You have to do it through the registrar's office. You have to get a form, etc., and get me to sign it, which will be interesting because we'll have to do that through the mail.
There we go.
Or maybe we could do it online and I can scan it in and send it to you that way. But that's a possibility. But I can't just give you a W at the end of the semester. That's the main thing.
Just give us a win.
In the past, we were able to do that. We can't do that anymore. So just be aware. You're going to withdraw. Try to do it by the beginning of November. All right. Any questions as we're moving along here?
Jesus, just chatting. Yeet.
Class cancellation. Okay. So one of the advantages of having an online class is if we have bad weather, then we just have class.
You have 3 people watching.
So even though in some cases school might be closed, we can still have class because we're just online. The big difference is if there's a huge, like a hurricane like there is down in Louisiana right now, or like the windstorm we had the other day, and power's out all over the place, then there's a problem. So there may be some situations where we just can't do class one way or another. I'll do my best to send you an email around that. Obviously if I'm out of power too, that becomes an issue. But if you get on a Zoom call and nobody's there, or I don't show up, then that means that there's a problem there, with my power or my internet or something along those lines. During that windstorm, we were out for 5 days. 5 days and 5 hours.
If the teacher doesn't show up to the Zoom meeting within 15 minutes, am I legally allowed to leave?
So, and now we have this big hurricane that's going to be coming up right through the middle of the East Coast, and then it's going to be coming up here on Saturday. So,
oh boy, can't wait.
We're really hoping there's not going to be another 5-day power outage.
We have it.
Anyway, I'll do my best to try to be online. There may be another place I can go which has power. Everybody I knew did not have power during that time frame, so that was not a good situation. But anyway, check the website, which is right here at the bottom, www.manchestercc.edu, or call this line. I think all of you have signed up for the emergency texts. So it's likely that you would get a text as to whether or not the school was closed. And I'll send you an email as well around it, just to make sure you know what's going on. Make sure you check Blackboard. I'll be putting information there as well. I put a special note here. Closings at the physical location of the school due to COVID-19 will not impact our online class. So you've seen a lot of the issues around COVID lately, where all these universities are starting on, classes in person, and then all of a sudden they have to close down because there's 65 cases. That's not going to impact us, which is good for us. So we don't have to worry about it.
Now, if I travel to Florida, do I have to quarantine for 2 weeks and not take?
By the way, obviously, if you are sick, you yourself are sick, or if somebody in your family is sick, either with the virus or for whatever reason, I'm not expecting you to show up for class under those conditions.
Now, what if I'm the illest?
Watch it on
YouTube
later after you get better. And if there's a particular situation that happens, a family member is very sick with the virus or something along those lines, just let me know on email and we can just talk about what your options are.
Get the fuck out of my room, Mom.
I'll get to incompletes in a minute, but that's one of the good reasons why you might need to have an incomplete, for that reason. Okay, so academic integrity.
What's that?
There's a lot of rules at MCC around academic integrity. The basic idea behind it is just make sure that work you're turning in is your work. It's pretty easy just to go on Google and pick an image and say, I did this. So don't do that. Make sure that you are presenting work that you yourself did, and otherwise is plagiarism, and that is a serious violation of the academic standards. Code of conduct says, don't do that, and you will get a 0 for the project, and in all likelihood be reported to the dean of students. So don't do that. Plus you won't learn anything if you just start taking over other people's work. All right, so we're getting there. So Title IX is about discrimination, harassment, and sexual misconduct.
I think so.
You can read through this as you like. There is an entire office dedicated to this at MCC. Also a website that you can go to. Make sure that you talk with someone if you're experiencing anything along those lines, any discrimination or sexual harassment, and we will make sure that you get the help that you need. There's also a phone number here for Debbie Freund, I guess her name is. If you have a particular disability that requires an academic adjustment, make sure you let me know. And register with the disability services. The guys, Joseph Navarro, is the guy you want to contact. His email is right there and his phone number. So that if there's any particular accommodations that you need, let me know.
Not
another
class,
thing,
no.
if you're having issues around getting software, having a computer to use, if you're having issues around Wi-Fi connection, maybe it's not very fast or whatever, just make sure you let me know as well, because to a certain extent that's kind of like a disability, I guess, because you're not able to have the same learning experience as other people. So I just want you guys to be aware that I'm aware of the fact that we don't all have the same setup, right? We don't all have the same great computer or have the software or whatever. So if there have issues around that, send me an email, and we'll see if there's anything.
Message. I think one of the kids in my class is.
When it comes to incompletes, generally speaking, I just don't give them out because I expect people to do the work within the time frame assigned. If you just get to the end of the semester and you didn't do all the work, you're not just going to get an incomplete. You're going to have to have a good reason why you didn't do the work. And as I mentioned, if you were to be sick, or if somebody in your family was really sick, that's a good reason. So let me know. I have one person from last semester whose father had COVID, and she's going to be finishing everything up this semester. Essentially what it does is that you get an I grade, and you have until 10 weeks into the following semester to finish all the work. You hand it in to me. I submit a grade change form, and then you get the grade that you earn by turning in that work. So if you don't turn it in, then typically you get an F because...
Oh no, I think my Wi-Fi just cut out. Oh no, he just stopped talking.
Because you didn't do all the work.
I got scared.
If you do not hand in any particular assignment, you'll get a 0 for that quiz or that assignment. And that'll be averaged into your overall grade. And you really don't want to miss the assignments. I think I had somebody a couple of semesters ago who just didn't quite get enough done to be able to pass the class. I think if you don't do like maybe 2 out of the 5 of each of those, you're real close to failing. So a grade of 0 really impacts your grade. So give me something, right, for everything, for all the projects. That's a really good idea. Blackboard, we will be making use of it all through the semester. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to go on there, download all of these handouts that we're going to be looking at today. Go to my.comnet.edu, sign in with your student email address and your password, the same way you would sign on to get your email, and click on the B, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the page. That's Blackboard. All the grades will be posted on there as well. okay, as we go through. So one other critical thing is please make sure that you're getting the work done on time. This schedule is unforgiving. As I mentioned, 11 projects, 15 weeks. This is not, you know, this is serious. We got to make sure we get the work done on time. And it's fun work. It doesn't take that long. The critical thing is you want to make sure you're working on it continuously as you go along. And if you run into a particular trouble and for some reason you're not able to cover it during the lab time, I can do a private meeting with you. I don't really have office hours. It's not practical, but I can do a private Zoom meeting with anybody for half an hour. So if you have a particular reason you need to talk to me or something in particular that's a thorny problem with a project, then just let me know on email and we'll just set up a quick Zoom meeting. For supplies, you're going to need a computer or use of a computer with enough hard drive space to install Adobe CC, Photoshop, and Illustrator along with Autodesk Maya and Zoom, which is a total of 11 gigabytes.
11 gigabytes?
Stable Wi-Fi or Ethernet connection.
That is way too many gigs.
And
what am I supposed to
a
do?
notebook with
I only
pockets
have
for
an
storing
8
handouts. You
terabyte
can print them
computer.
out and for taking notes. You don't have to print out the handouts. You can just
what do they think
keep them
I
digital
have?
if you want in a folder.
Jeez.
I would recommend keeping a backup of your work on an external drive of some sort. Thumb drive would be fine. They're pretty cheap.
Skateboard flash drive will be enough.
Probably should do that.
8th grade.
My iMac recently crashed, and I'm in the process right now of trying to see if I can save it. I'm using a different computer right now, but I may have lost 3 years worth of photographs, which is not making me very happy.
Don't piss this guy off.
But it does happen.
Shut the fuck up.
You have computers crash. So what you want to do is try to keep a backup of it if possible. There's no required text for this class, thank goodness. One of the reasons for that, by the way, is that the most recent Photoshop and Illustrator books are from 2015. That's gonna look bad
on stream for a second.
So I don't want to use those. There is a fairly decent Maya book, but it's still not great.
Whoops.
Everything good is on LinkedIn Learning. Make sure you sign up for it. And as I mentioned, I'll be giving you specific assignments for those. Okay. So that's the main part of the syllabus. We also have the calendar, which we'll go through. Any questions yet? Anybody?
What, David?
What? They have water
they
here.
Have a game. So you've heard of Shaq Fu, right?
Okay. So here's the schedule. As I mentioned, oh no, we don't have class on Labor Day.
It's a fighting game.
That's right. So we have Labor Day and Thanksgiving, 2 days.
And you play it. It was from Shaq's rap album.
So today we're going over the things we're going over.
And
as I
they
mentioned,
did a fighting game, all right? They made another game called Barack Fu.
The next week we will start up with the Photoshop stuff. So we'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Dirty Barry.
10 Photoshop classes. And these Photoshop classes, we're going to go pretty in depth into Photoshop. We're going to go through all the tools. We're going to try to go through most of the menus. We'll go through filters. We'll go through all kinds of really good stuff. Things with layers, compositing images, masks, all that stuff. And I do realize that there are some of you that know Photoshop fairly well. Yeah. So you may already
Liz,
have a fairly decent grasp of all of this stuff. So, but there are probably some things that you haven't run into before, or you weren't aware of. So you'll hopefully pick up
on this page. Here,
not.
I'll.
That you just don't know, right? So we'll go through Photoshop. We have a whole set of projects, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. To go through, I'm going to show you projects 1 and 2 today.
Weist is live streaming until I die from hurricane overdose.
So that takes us to about the end of September. We do a quick Photoshop review beginning of October, and then we do Illustrator. We're going to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We do 9 Illustrator lessons, including the review. And Illustrator, not quite as complicated as Photoshop. By the way, all of the Photoshop projects are due on October 7th. And all of the Illustrator projects are due on November 11th. So the reason to have them all due at the same time is because you will be picking up skill in these programs as you go along. As you start working your way through it, you'll be realizing that you have more and more skill as you go along. And so you may say to yourself, oh, well, you know, I wish I had done such and such with project 2. You can go back and do that and then just hand it in when the final day is ready. So it gives you a chance to go back and maybe fix something that you didn't know earlier, or for whatever reason you wanted to redo it. So it gives you a chance to give it a little bit more attention if you want to. The Maya, we'll have 1, 2, 3, then we'll have the Thanksgiving break, and then for 5, we'll have essentially 5 Maya lessons, and there's just one project. We're just gonna make a scene in Maya. So, and it's fun. It's a fun program. I think the more you get into animation and things like, you know, creating particulates and stuff like that, it gets a lot thornier, but we won't get into any of that stuff. We're not going to do any animation. So we're just going to create a scene. Do a PowerPoint which shows all of the images you did, and then on the day of the final, which is 12/9, everything has to be in by then, and you can, what we'll do is we'll take a look at all the PowerPoints. We'll look at the work that everybody did, which will be fun. There's no exam. So, in terms of handing things in, so I did send everybody last night a personal Dropbox they can use, so you should have received that email. That's a link to your own Dropbox. And also, there's going to be a samples Dropbox and an assets Dropbox. So I'll be giving you access to that within the next day or so. But everything will be handed in on Blackboard. The way it works typically is you will hand in or copy over your files to the Blackboard or to the Dropbox. And what I will do is I will pretty much right away download it from there and delete it. So I only have a total of 5 gigs, I think, on Dropbox. I don't want to fill the whole thing up, so as things come in, I will copy them over to my personal computer, grade them from there, and delete them off of the Dropbox. So if you put something in the Dropbox and then all of a sudden you see it's gone, it's because I took it, okay? Just be aware of that. All right, questions about the schedule? Again, we have 2 days off, Labor Day, the 7th, and Thanksgiving break, which is the 25th. Otherwise, we're working. Okay, so that's the whole syllabus. There we go. As I mentioned before, anybody who came in late, there's a questionnaire in your email. So look for that. It's from SurveyMonkey. If you haven't filled it out already, just go there. It's only 9 questions and fill it out for me, so I have a little bit of a sense of who's in the class. So you know what? Before we move on, I'm going to stop the share. We've got 19 folks here, and I just want to 1 1 second. I want to see. It's 19. Okay. I just want to make sure I see everybody that's here. Now, one of the things I just want to mention real quick, and this is crazy. We've got 3 Zachs, 2 Daniels, a Victor and a Victoria, and 2 Kyles.
2 Kyles.
And both the Kyles are Kyle M's. So this is crazy.
My life will
never seen this before. So when I'm talking to you, I will probably be using your first name
Kyle.
And
no, seriously, in high
initial,
school, it was
if you are one of those
Kyle Marquez,
people.
and then Kyle Marinelli.
Anyway, I just want to let everybody know.
So it was.
So let me just see
really
who's
hard
here. I just want to take a quick look here.
In 6th grade, I had the exact same schedule as another kid.
Got your name in there now.
Like literally every class.
So I think I know who everybody is.
Yeah, I think in high school I had 4 classes with the same person in a row once.
David, I had all 7.
Yeah. Okay.
We were in exactly
the
same.
So,
were you both named Kyle?
No.
So that's my attendance.
That's not cool then.
Yeah, no, that was.
I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen.
Oh, that means this changed.
So the next thing I'd like to go over, and we just have a couple little things left. Shouldn't take too long, and then we'll be done for today.
Oh yes.
So I won't talk about this.
I know
yet.
the difference between CMYK and RGB.
So let's talk about RGB versus CMYK. So just to kind of kick off the whole Photoshop thing. There's a variety of different things that you need to know when it comes to graphics and how things are created on the computer. And for what, basically. So this is a really good example of that. So what we've got here essentially, and this is in the Blackboard, is this idea of different color modes. These are not the only 2 that exist. These are just the 2 we're going to talk about, the 2 most important ones, really, and most important for our class as well, is RGB versus CMYK. So RGB color mode is this one here on the left, which is red, green, and blue. What used to happen in the old days is there used to be a big monitor. You remember these old monitors, some of you may have seen them, that had a big back to them. And these had electron guns, essentially, in them. And they would shoot out a stream of electrons at a screen. And the electrons were different colors, red, green, or blue. Those electron guns essentially would make up a full color image on the screen. That's where the whole RGB came from in the first place. It was for screens. Nowadays we don't have any electron guns. We've all got flat screens, but essentially it's still the same idea. You've got 3 colors, red, green, and blue. Those colors are essentially mixing together to form other colors. You see the yellow, purple, and the blue here. But in the center, essentially this is called additive mixing. They're all mixed together to form white. So the colors begin as black. So a screen that's not got any color or essentially is not on is black, right? And then you add these various colors to get up to white. So they're meant to be displayed on screen. All web images are RGB. all of the images that you create in this class should be RGB, because we're online, we're going to be looking at everything online. We're going to use RGB as our color mode. I'll show you when we get to Photoshop how you set that up, okay? Because there's various ways to set it up. And the main reason for using RGB is if you've got a digital screen. CMYK, on the other hand, I'm sure you've heard of it before, is used for print. So anything that's printed has got these 4 colors that are used for the printing: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And if you have a printer, like an Epson printer, for example, you'll see that there are cartridges with all of these colors: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black.
Also, black is also known
and
as
this
key,
is what's called subtractive mixing. So all the colors start as blank white, and then each layer of ink reduces the initial brightness to create the preferred color. These 4 colors together can make any color, pretty much. Not special colors like fluorescent, but most colors in 4-color printing are made up of CMYK. Any magazine you get or anything along those lines, if you look at it with a magnifying glass or a loupe, you'll see little dots.
Table
and those
open
little
for
dots
the
are either
class?
cyan, magenta, yellow, or black.
Oh shit!
It's
I
a
was
lot of
like,
fun.
Oh, you scared the
to
fuck
look at
out of me.
that
I didn't
sometimes.
recognize your voice at all.
And
Who
you can
is
see how
that?
they're actually made up.
Ben.
So
It's the one and the
different
only.
percentages of each of the
yeah,
colors.
I'm
add
live
together,
streaming it on Twitch.
And you get
Did you
a particular color.
They're going over the syllabus.
So, and the reason why we're not using CMYK in this class is we're not really
he's
printing
recording
anything.
the lecture.
Oh God, never mind.
CMYK
I was gonna say, let me in that bitch.
No.
Because it's using 4 channels instead of 3.
I got
but I will
I got
show
my
you
friend's
when we're in
fucking
Photoshop
Zoom meeting
how to change
code
color
on my
modes
phone.
and how to take a look at the
But I
various
was gonna join
channels.
tomorrow because he has
Because
like a
you
really
can look
serious
at
class,
just
and
the
then I
red
found
channel,
out I have a
for example,
14-hour
the
shift
green
tomorrow.
channel,
Ooh.
the blue channel, etc.
God is
Okay.
dead, and we have
Any
killed him.
questions about this?
You know, for reasons I'm not going to say on Twitch, because I kind of maybe want to use Twitch eventually. I'm not going to say what I want to say
And
about
I'm sure
God
a lot of
being
you
dead,
have
but,
experienced this or
maybe the other
seen
side has
this or
it right.
heard about this before.
What, the
There are a
religious
bunch
aspect of
other
it?
color
Yeah.
modes that are available.
Oh,
things
both
like
sides are
lab,
probably right.
things along those lines.
It's
But
actually
generally
Ganesha
speaking,
is
we're just not
actually
gonna worry
God.
about those in this class.
Dude, I'm a
because,
Pastafarian,
it's an intro
so
class.
I'm actually a minister of Pastafarianism. So
All right, so that's RGB versus CMYK.
Dude, I'm an icebreaker mint.
Now, raster versus vector.
Oh,
So,
I like
in this
where this
class,
is
we'll be
going.
creating
Get it, Mark?
images as raster and vector
Yeah.
file
Pop,
types.
pop
So
me in your
generally
mouth.
speaking, Photoshop files will be raster.
this is totally
and Illustrator
okay
files
for
will be
Twitch.
vector. My
Shit, we have
outputs will be
Alinity still
vector
on there,
wireframes
so it's
as
all good.
raster
Fuck.
image files.
David,
in
throw the
Final
cat.
Render. And this can be really confusing.
Can't
particularly
go
for
here.
people who
Put some
are not
vodka
that
in that.
familiar with graphics
What?
or are
Did you
not
take
using it in a particular
I
way.
did not.
What do you need help with?
So the way to really
Just
kind of
this
think
one
about it is
angular-
raster
I swear to
images,
God, I have this
Photoshop
right, but,
files,
Did you go to
are made of
college?
pixels.
I'm
Me?
in college.
We'll be painting with pixels later when we're working
Anyways,
in Photoshop.
Pixel
Pixel is a single point of the smallest single element in a
equation.
display device.
I don't know
So
if
if
you
you
remember
zoom
that.
into a raster image, you may
So it's
start
like
to see a lot of little tiny
W
squares. And if you were
equals
to look at
radians over
this
time.
screen that you're looking at right now, very
Radians.
close,
Okay.
you would see a
Do
bunch
you
of pixels.
have a degree or?
The raster image has a specific
Are
number
you-
of pixels, and when you
what is it
enlarge
that
the
you
image
have to
file
do?
without
Oh,
changing the
okay.
number of pixels,
So I have the revolutions
the image
per
will look blurry. So
minute.
as you see in this
which
image
is
above where it says the
4100,
VS,
Okay.
it's starting
and
to
I'm
look
trying
blurry.
to
It's
get
got
the
some weird
angular
kind of edges
speed
to it.
in radians per second.
So when you enlarge the file by adding more
4100
pixels,
revolutions,
the
RPM,
pixels
right?
are added
Revolutions
randomly
per minute.
through the
And
image,
you need
rarely
radians
producing
per
good
second.
results.
Isn't it
So
two?
think about it this
How
way,
many
okay? You've
radians
got a
is a full
logo,
circle?
2 pi.
and
2 pi.
it's
Okay.
say it's a raster file,
So
should
and you
be
blow it up to a
8200
very
pi over
large
60, right?
size, and you've got a small image,
Uh,
let's say off of a website,
you
and you
said
blow
how
it up to
many
a really big
revolutions per
size,
minute?
it's going to become all
4100.
blurry.
4100.
Photoshop is able to reinterpret the pixels
when you multiply that
to
by 60
make up pixels that aren't there,
and then divide by 2 pi r.
It does a fairly decent job, but it's not great. You're still going to get a blurry image, okay, or an image that isn't the best result.
Maybe I'll just try that.
Whereas vector,
when you want to set the
mathematical calculations from one point to another,
so you'd set both lines to seconds,
and shapes. Think of it in terms of essentially shapes that are filled in, which essentially are defined by points that are connected.
Because we're assuming this is just a 1 minute.
If you zoom into a vector
test,
graphic,
right?
it'll always look the same.
So it does 4,100 revolutions per second per minute. So we're assuming that's 1 minute
no matter the
of
size.
time. So that would be.
You can take a logo that is a vector.
You would have to set it as seconds, which would be multiply it by seconds,
and blow it
60,
up to the size of
and then
a building.
set them equal to each other. So you have to find the radians of whatever that number is, right?
So this is the main difference between raster and vector.
I only took pre-calc, and the first half was learning everything about that fucking circle.
Because we're working in both Photoshop and...
Don't worry, I failed trig 3 times.
I don't have to take trig. I'm an art student.
So Photoshop.
Oh, dude, so's my friend.
Is essentially painting with pixels.
Oh my god, what the fuck is in my throat?
Raster images. Typical file format extensions are
That's for tomorrow night, not tonight.
Photoshop document.
Shit, tomorrow night you're gonna have to be expecting me at 12 a.m. dog. That's when I get out.
Fuck. I got work at 6 in the morning. God damn. Not for long, because I'm quitting.
Format.
Oh, dude, I just got promoted.
I'm giving up my job to go to college.
So those are all typical raster.
I give up my school to go to work.
All these formats are used as images on the web.
I fucking hate my job.
Illustrator creates vector graphic images.
Where do you work?
I work in a factory. .ai, which is Illustrator. .eps.
I work as a CNC latesman, but
.pdf portable document format, so you can save an Illustrator as a PDF.
Dude, I work at CVS. Don't worry.
Oh my god.
So
I used to work at
this just gives you a little bit of a taste of kind of where we're headed in terms
Dude, the people because of Corona.
Formats.
Dude. They're great.
It gets thorny a little bit as the further we go
Especially because I'm in the pharmacy
now. What happens is you'll see.
Are you a pharmacy technician or
type in Photoshop?
I'm not even a technician. I'm still in training, and I have a week to finish my training, but I can't go in like separately to do training. So I'm kind of like.
Raster image.
They kind of just
oh no!
Trial by inferno, as I call it.
Is fine.
Well, the thing is, I'm already past due on like 4 modules. I was supposed to be done in January,
which is interesting.
And
you can also place a Photoshop
I took
file,
biology.
vector Photoshop file.
I have no clue what the fuck lung diseases are and the statistics about lung diseases. Apparently, that's important information to know.
Vector logos, type,
but I literally just looked at my boss when he's like, so why are these past due? And I said, dude, do I look like I give a fuck? I smoke.
Time has gone on. Originally,
I don't need to know about lung disease. I am lung disease.
Now they were able to combine them pretty well. So eventually you'll get used to this.
Now I just need Corona, and then I'll have caught them all.
Really, unless you're worried about
and whatever Liz has.
Like print.
That's just gay.
So if you're printing something, it's got to have a decent number of pixels, a decent resolution. Otherwise, it's not going to print really.
The revolution, so 4100.
So low res versus high res. Typical low res images are 72.
And then you would divide that by 60.
High res 300.
And I did
Why would you divide it by 60?
Print files are typically 300 pixels per inch.
And it's per minute, so you're trying to get how many
whereas
per second?
screen are typically 72.
Then wouldn't you multiply?
All right, so the last thing I want to talk about today,
I
know you guys are getting
nicotine.
tired.
Oh no.
Is we will talk about the two Photoshop projects that are coming up. You don't have any background in Photoshop yet, most of you, so I wouldn't worry about it yet. This is just a sort of an advanced peek at what's coming.
Thing not working
if
anymore,
you do have some Photoshop experience, you may want to play around with it a little bit.
Oh, Liz, let me ask you this.
So the first
you ever
one
in my
is
server,
we're going
dog?
to take a couple of black and white images and add color to them in Photoshop. So I'll give you a photograph, a black and white photograph. I will supply the images. And
did I just level up?
Have you paint color.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, is it this?
And it's fairly easy and fun. It's kind of a fun project.
I hate
and
Zoom.
Also, I will be giving you a colorized line image.
It's a meme.
That one, I'll have a few of them, and then you could maybe use your own if you
Why
want
is
to.
it a thing, or is why?
That one you'll need to add color to.
Fucking why, man?
This
Hey Siri.
Dropbox, you don't have access to yet. This is the samples Dropbox.
Shit.
And then there's also the assets Dropbox. So these are the two I was talking about.
Yes, I was right.
I'll give you access to these shortly.
Thank you.
And we'll be able to, you'll be able to
You want some
download
nugs?
whatever you like from those folders. Everybody will have access to those. Okay. So work in Adobe Photoshop, create one colorized photo image, create one colorized line art image, and at least 75% of the image should contain color. You must use multiple colors, and you must use selection tools to restrict the outlines of some of the colors. So we'll go over all of this next class, so you can get a little bit of a jump.